The great Labour leader once said, "You can't play politics with people's jobs, with people's services, or with their homes," as a clear warning against the dangers of rigid dogma and impossible promises, as you will ever see. Now, you might recognise it, I certainly do, but it's not just in that great footage of Neil. No. I see that attitude, the very same thing he was fighting against, in the behaviour of the Tories these past few weeks. And now we see the result, the grotesque chaos of a Tory Prime Minister handing out redundancy notices to her own Chancellor. And conference, there are no historical precedents for what they've done to our economy. Now, Britain has faced financial crises before, but the Prime Ministers and Chancellors who wrestled with them all acted fast. When their policies ran against the rocks of reality, they took decisive action. But this lot, they didn't just tank the British economy. They also clung on as they made the pound sink, clung on as they took our pensions to the brink of collapse, clung on as they pushed the mortgages and bills of the British public through the roof. They did all of this. All the pain our country faces now is down to them. And there's still one person clinging on. The Prime Minister. No doubt we'll hear plenty of laughable excuses in the coming days. After 12 years of stagnation, that's all her party has left. But even they know she can't fix the mess that she's created. And deep down, her MPs know something else. They no longer have a mandate from the British people. No mandate for an outdated ideology which says it's the rich and only the rich who drive this country forward. No mandate for unfunded promises that destroy our economic stability. No mandate for an economic policy that says we can't see your struggles. Our dogma has drawn the curtains. So, conference, know this. Whatever they say now, whatever they do, it boils down to one argument for them. It's party first, country second, and that's unforgivable. The change this country needs is a Labour government. Because whatever damage they do, we remain bold on reform, on renewal, on national reconstruction. That's what the British people expect from a Labour government, and we will deliver it. It's what we did in 1945, when out of the rubble of the Second World War, we built a land fit for heroes. It's what we did in 1964, when we harnessed the white heat of technology to pay our way in a modern economy. In 1997, when we modernised a country held back by crumbling public services and outdated institutions. It's up to us to write the next chapter of Labour history together about how we built a fairer, greener, more dynamic Britain by tackling the climate emergency head-on and used it to create the jobs, the industries, the opportunities of the future. Our new chapter of Labour history. Across the world, countries are already gearing up to meet this challenge. We can't afford to miss out. Because some nation is going to lead the world in offshore wind. Why not this one? Some nation will win. Some nation will win the race for electric vehicles. Why not us? Some nation will be the first to harness new hydrogen power. Why not Britain? That's what our Green Prosperity Plan is all about. It's action on the cost of living crisis now, tomorrow, and the day after. And it starts by backing working people on rising energy prices. When the Prime Minister in the summer was arguing against handouts, remember that? Yeah. Labour provided the clarity our nation needed. We said this winter, not a penny more on anyone's bills. And we'd make sure that the oil and gas companies pay their fair share. But to end this national emergency once and for all, we also need a long-term plan. A plan that will deliver cheaper bills for working people, now and in the future. Growth and jobs in every part of our country. And real independence from tyrants like Putin, who weaponise fossil fuels and threaten our security. That is the central mission of the next Labour government. We will turn Britain into a green growth superpower, and driving us forward will be a goal that puts us ahead of any major economy in the world. 100% clean power by 2030. A goal that means investment in wind, solar, nuclear, hydrogen, green steel and carbon capture. Training for plumbers, electricians, engineers, software designers, technicians and builders. A national sovereign wealth fund that generates growth and private investment. Insulation for 19 million homes. And Great British Energy, a publicly owned company that takes advantage of the opportunities in clean British power and turns them into good, secure, high-paid British jobs. The argument for our plan is very simple. Clean energy is already cheaper than fossil fuels. 9 times cheaper. Working people need more of it. Britain needs to own it, and the jobs and growth it creates must be shared with every community. British power to the British people. And that's why I've always said, we will fight the Tories on economic growth. It's not just their record. The worst decade for growth in 2 centuries. This isn't a problem of the last 3 or 4 weeks. The worst decade for growth in 2 centuries. The vicious cycle of stagnation, as the now former Chancellor calls it. Quick edit to the speech as we came up yesterday on the train. But we have a clear and practical plan to spread the opportunities of the future to every community in Britain. That's why we struggle for growth. We lock too many communities out of the wealth that we create. We create too many jobs that are low-paid and insecure. And our public services aren't strong enough to help working people succeed. The Tory trickle-down fantasy has no answer to this. Working people won't be better off if we make the rich richer. It's fantasy economics. If you leave this many people behind, a nation cannot grow fairly. So we will invest in clean hydrogen power and create new opportunities here in South Yorkshire. We will radically expand offshore wind in Grimsby, the East Riding, North Yorkshire, all the way up the coast. Solar panels, generating incomes for farmers and rural communities. And home insulation, putting cash in working people's pockets right across this region.